On Christmas Eve, surrounded by my siblings and their kids, I finally gave my father the custom watch I'd been saving for all year. He opened the box, sneered, and barked so everyone could hear, "Is this cheap crap supposed to impress me? I guess you're still useless after all these years." My stepbrother howled with laughter. My mom pretended not to notice, and I just whispered, "Merry Christmas," and left. A year later, he tried calling me over and over, 19 calls every day. He realized what I'd actually done. So, IDK if this is weird to start with, but has anyone else noticed how some people will just interrupt a room's vibe for no reason, like it's a sport? My dad, Coulter, does this every single Christmas. I'm talking if he hears laughter from another room, he finds some way to drag it back to him, doesn't matter what. Last year, he made a joke about how he doesn't get out of bed for less than 10 gifts, which nobody laughed at, but he just repeated it twice louder. So yeah, that's the energy. This year was supposed to be different, I guess, at least for me. I'd been saving for months, literally since last February. And I'd ordered this custom watch for him. Not flashy, not cheap, just nice. There's this tiny engraving on the inside with an old saying he used to tell us when we were kids. And TBH, it cost way more than I want to admit cause I was trying to get the details right. And I'm not rich like at all. But whatever. I thought maybe this will actually connect. Maybe we'll get a real moment. There's always that stupid hope, right? The whole crew is there. So, it's me, my sister Heather, my stepbrother Griffin, yeah him, their kids running around, my mom Joanne acting like she's busy with the food, but really she's just trying not to be in the same room as Coulter half the time. If you know families like mine, you know how it goes. Everyone on their phones, football game on mute. I'm sitting there half watching my nephew try to show me some TikTok dance, kind of wishing I just skipped out and played games at home, but I'd made this promise to myself about the watch. So, I wait until most of the presents are already open cause I don't want to make it a big deal. But Griffin's already on his second beer and making those little jokes under his breath. He does this thing where he'll nudge you like you're in on it, but it's always at someone else's expense, usually mine. Dad's in his chair holding court. Heather's trying to keep her youngest from crying cause he got the wrong color controller. Normal chaos. I hand over the box to my dad, like super casual. Not even wrapped fancy, just the box and a card. I say something about, "Hey, this is for you. Hope you like it." He doesn't even look at me, just kind of glances at the box, then at Griffin like he's waiting for a punchline. Heather looks over. I think she knows I spent a lot on it cause she saw me stressing about shipping last week. He opens it and honestly, for a second I see this look like he's actually surprised, but then he picks the thing up, turns it over in his hands, and suddenly just starts in. He laughs, but not a real laugh. Just this short, sharp sound. Says, "Is this supposed to impress me? This cheap crap? You still don't get it, do you? After all these years." And he says it loud. He always does that. Make sure everyone hears, even the kids stop for a sec. I don't even look at Griffin, but I can hear him start snickering like this is the best joke he's ever heard. Heather looks away. Mom acts like she's got to check something in the kitchen, grabs a bowl, leaves. I say, "Just Merry Christmas, Dad," kind of under my breath, but I know he hears it. I feel my face burning, but I'm trying not to give him anything. I stand up, start to walk out. Then Griffin does this thing where he calls after me, says, "You forgot your dignity, man. Maybe check under the couch for it." I don't even pause. Just keep going. Grab my jacket, slam the door on my way out. Not my proudest move, but I could feel my hands shaking. Not from sadness, just pure straight-up anger. I hear something crash behind me. Probably one of the kids dropped their juice box, but I don't care. I sit in my car for honestly way too long, scrolling through my phone, trying to decide if I should go back in and just say something. But then I get a text from Heather. Just says, "Sorry." Nothing else. Typical. Nobody ever stands up to him. Not really. Griffin's always been his little shadow. Gets away with everything. He's the one who crashed Dad's car last summer and somehow I got blamed cause I didn't warn him about the bad intersection. Classic. Heather always freezes up. Mom does that thing where she pretends everything's fine if she just ignores it long enough. So yeah, here's the thing. My dad's always been this way with me. He wanted a son who was into his stuff, sports, cars, the right taste in literally everything. And I just wasn't that guy. I was the quiet kid, the one who read too much and didn't care about whatever game was on. He said it made him look bad, like he failed. Griffin was the golden boy, even though he's actually my stepbrother. Different dad, same mom, because he just fits the mold. People always say, "Oh, he's just hard on you 'cause he cares." But no, it's not that. He likes the power. He likes the control. He likes knowing he can get a reaction out of me. Or better, that I'll just take it and leave and everyone will go back to normal. But not this time. Not anymore. I'm sick of it. And I'm not going to just take it. I don't even drive home right away. I just sit there thinking about how much time and money I wasted trying to get this man to see me for literally 5 seconds. And then all of a sudden, I'm just done. Like, completely done. I text my sister back, ask her if she's tired of this yet. She doesn't answer. Figures. I don't go back inside. I just drive off, not even sure where I'm going. Just out of the neighborhood, past the same old gas station where Dad used to make me wash his truck for pocket money and then say I did it wrong anyway. I'm blasting music. Probably too loud. But I don't care. I start thinking, what's the point of playing nice if he's never going to change? I'm not going to let him treat me like this anymore, and yeah, I know everyone's going to say, "Oh, just cut him off. Don't go back. Set boundaries. Blah blah." But that's not enough. Not for this. I'm not just going to disappear so he can tell everyone I'm a loser or whatever. I want him to actually feel what it's like to be pushed out. To watch everyone else move on without him. I want him to know he can't control every room just 'cause he's loudest. I want him to know he lost something real. I get home, throw the jacket on the couch and start making notes on my phone. Real notes. Stuff I know about how the family money works, who actually talks to who. What people owe him favors for. I'm not even thinking about sleep. I'm thinking about how to make sure he's the one left out next time. Not me. I know Griffin's going to run his mouth and Mom's going to pretend she didn't hear anything and Heather will sit on the fence, but IDC, I'm done letting him win by default. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm not looking for advice. Just needed to get this out 'cause Jill, I'm not letting it go. Not this year. Not ever again. Anyway, if you've ever had that moment where you just hit your limit, you know what I mean. I'll update if anything actually happens, but for now, I'm making plans. Real ones. Update one. So weird thing, right after I posted that last rant, I noticed something about my dad. He started texting me these passive-aggressive memes. Like the kind boomers send about real men and kids these days can't take a joke, which he never used to do. Almost like he was testing if I'd bite back. As if he thought I'd just fold and say sorry, but not this time. I guess I finally hit the age where you start wondering what would happen if you actually pushed back. So yeah, I started making a list, not even a joke, on my phone notes app, just bullet points about what he actually cares about. His image in front of the extended family, having the final say about money stuff, even when it's not his, and hosting every holiday 'cause he thinks it proves he's the boss. So, first thing, I needed someone on the inside, but not Griffin. Yeah. Heather, though, she's not confrontational, but she hates drama. So, honestly, I thought she'd just block my number if I tried to drag her in. But I was still pissed about Christmas, so I just texted her anyway. Said, "Hey, do you actually like going over there every holiday, or are you just doing it 'cause it's easier?" She took a while to reply, like I could see the 3 dots on and off for half an hour, but finally says it's just less trouble. And then sometimes I wish we could just meet somewhere else. So I drop a screenshot of that message in my notes and start thinking what it would take to actually make it happen. I start talking to Aaliyah, my cousin, for anyone keeping track, 'cause she's the only one who will actually say when something's messed up. I tell her about the watch thing, not even trying to make it sound better. She just says, "That's so on brand for him. Why do we keep letting him run everything?" And that kind of gives me an idea. So I start group chatting with her and Heather, not like a coup or whatever. Just like, what if we do a New Year's thing at my place instead? Heather's nervous. Says, I don't want to hurt Mom's feelings, but Aaliyah's all for it. Says, we'll just say it's easier with the kids, less driving. I think she mostly wanted an excuse not to deal with the drive and the drama. Anyway, Heather eventually caves, but she keeps saying, I don't want to make a scene. I promise her, no drama, just a hangout potluck style. Nothing fancy. Then I message Mom and say, hey, I'll host if you want a break. She just double taps it. Classic Joan, never wants to be the one to say no, but she doesn't say yes either. So, New Year's comes around. Everyone but Dad and Griffin show up at my place. The kids are happy, less stress. Aaliyah brings cupcakes. Heather's husband is chill. It's actually nice. Dad starts blowing up the group chat with, so, what's the plan for next weekend? And nobody really answers. I just post a pic of the kids playing Mario Kart. He sends back a thumbs up, then nothing for a few days. Griffin sends me a DM, bro, you're not going to get away with it. But I just leave him on read. Then the weird stuff starts. Dad calls me, but not to apologize, just says, I heard you're trying to split up the family. You think you're better than me? I ask him, why does it matter if we're at your house or mine? He says, it's tradition. I say, it's not a law. He hangs up. I start getting these little jabs from Griffin too. Like, he posts stories on Insta with captions like, some people forget who fed them, and tags me in old photos from when we were kids at Dad's place. Whatever. I ignore it, but I start keeping screenshots, not 'cause I care about the drama, but 'cause I want to remember how they act when they're not in control. There's something about watching them scramble that's actually kind of satisfying. So, a few weeks go by and I start noticing Dad's doing weird stuff with the group texts. Adding people, removing people, making new threads. At one point, I literally get 3 invites to the same family dinner, all from different chats. I start replying only in the chat that doesn't include him, and people follow slowly, but they do. Heather's nervous. Mom's sort of checked out, but Aaliyah's loving it. She even starts a poll for where to do Easter. Everyone picks anywhere but Dad's. Meanwhile, I start looking into the money side of things. Dad's always been in charge of the dumb little family trust my grandma set up. Not 'cause he's good with money, but 'cause nobody ever bothered to change it. I ask Heather if she knows how it works, and she says, I think there's a clause about majority vote if people want to move stuff. So, I dig up the docs and yeah, it's true. It takes 3 signatures to change the trustee. I send screenshots to Heather and Aaliyah. Heather's hesitant. Says she doesn't want to make it ugly, but I tell her, we don't have to make a scene. Just sign and move it to someone neutral. She takes a few days but finally says okay. We fill out the forms, get them notarized, drop them off. Not flashy, just done. Dad finds out real quick. He sends a string of texts, all caps. Says, you're making a mistake. You don't even know what you're doing. You're letting everyone down. Then he calls me. I don't answer. He calls Heather. She answers. And I guess he yells, 'cause next thing I get is a text from her, this is ridiculous. Why did you drag me into this? I call her. Explain that it's not about revenge. It's about not letting him use the trust as a way to control us every time someone wants to do something different. She calms down but says, you know he's not going to let this go, right? I tell her, I hope he doesn't. Griffin gets in my face at family brunch a couple weeks later. Tries to shove me when I walk in. Says, you're ruining everything. I just tell him, you've never even cared about the family stuff. You just like being Dad's favorite. He pushes me. I push him back. Heather tells us both to knock it off. He storms out, slams the door. Classic. After that, Dad stops inviting me to stuff. But here's the thing. When you're the one hosting, people start coming to you with their problems. Suddenly, I'm the one who gets the texts about who's bringing what. Who needs to crash at my place? Who needs help picking up a cake? I'm not even good at this stuff, but it's wild how quick people adapt when the vibe changes. I start noticing Dad's friends aren't showing up as much either. He always used to have these guys over for poker or whatever, but now it's always just him and Griffin. Sometimes I see them at the store, but they mostly just nod and keep moving. Mom comes by my place with cookies, acts like nothing's wrong, but she never brings up Dad unless I do. I hear from Aaliyah that Dad's been telling people I'm going through something, which, Heather tells me he's been asking her to convince me to make things right, but she just says I'm not getting in the middle. She's more annoyed than anything. The only one actually mad is Griffin, who keeps sending me memes about family loyalty, snakes in the grass. I block him for a week, unblock him when Heather asks me to, then block him again after he tags me in a Facebook rant. Dad tries to guilt trip me about the trust. Says, "You don't know what you're doing. You're going to ruin everything." I don't even reply now. Just leave it on read. Heather says he started complaining to her about money. Like suddenly he can't pay for stuff as easily as before. I tell her that's not my problem. Aaliyah laughs. Says maybe he'll finally have to ask instead of just assuming. So yeah, it's not like I've destroyed him or whatever, but the energy is different now. He doesn't run the family by default. He doesn't get to say when or where we meet. He can't use money to make people do what he wants. Griffin's mad, but honestly he's always mad about something. Mom's still doing her thing, pretending it's all fine. But even she comes to me first now if she wants something fixed. I know he's not going to stop trying, but neither am I. I'm not just letting it slide. I'm not disappearing. I want him to feel it every time he realizes he's not in charge anymore. Last thing, I got a text from Dad this week just says, "Hope you're happy." I just sent back a thumbs up emoji. He didn't reply. I'll update if it escalates, but I'm kind of just waiting to see what he tries next cause I'm not backing down. Not this time. So, here's something I didn't expect. My dad actually started showing up places he never cared about before. Like, out of nowhere, he's suddenly at my cousin's kid's soccer game, acting like he's always been a regular. He's shaking hands, chatting people up, fake laughing at stuff he never even listened to before. I'm standing there with my coffee, watching him try to get everyone on his side, and it's honestly just awkward as hell. He keeps glancing over at me, but I don't give him anything. Just nod at Aaliyah and talk to her about literally anything else. That's when I realize he's not just mad, he's actually nervous about losing his grip on the family. That's new. Griffin, of course, is still on his "he's ruining everything" campaign. He's texting me these long paragraphs about how I'm breaking up the family, then tagging me in old throwback pics like we were best buds growing up, which is just wild. At one point, he corners me in the parking lot after the game, gets close enough that I can smell the vape he's been hitting all day and tells me I'm never going to win. I tell him to back off. He shoves me. I shove him back. He tries to get in my face and I just walk around him. He slaps the mirror on my car as I leave. The group chats are chaos now. Dad keeps spinning up new ones. Heather texts me, says she's getting like 5 different invites to family dinner this month, all from different chats. None of them include me, unless it's a mass blast. Aaliyah thinks it's hilarious. Says he's out here playing chess with checkers pieces. Mom's still not picking a side. Just keeps double tapping stuff and dropping off food whenever she thinks nobody will be home. Then the real stuff starts. Dad calls me out of nowhere. Middle of the day, says he wants to talk about the trust. Says, "You don't get what you're doing. You're going to regret it." I remind him it was a majority vote. He says, "That's not how family works." I tell him, "Maybe not your version, but I'm done with your version." He hangs up. Next thing I start hearing from his old golf buddies. One of them messages me on Facebook, says, "Hey, your dad's been saying you're having some kind of crisis. Do you need help?" I just say, "No thanks. We're good." I ask Heather if she's getting the same. She says, "Yeah." And he's also asking her to convince me to make things right. She says, "I'm tired of being in the middle. Just do what you're going to do." Griffin tries to set up a family intervention. No joke. Says we're all meeting at his apartment to clear the air. I say if Dad wants to talk, he can call me himself. Griffin blows up. Starts texting in all caps. Says I'm scared to face the family. Whatever. I just leave the chat. Heather leaves right after. Aaliyah posts a meme about family meetings being just group gaslighting sessions. And Griffin blocks her for a week. A week later, Dad tries to throw a big Sunday lunch old school style. Invites the whole extended family. Heather and Aaliyah text me, say they're not going. I say same. Mom goes but only stays for an hour. Next thing I know, Dad's blowing up my phone, leaving voicemails saying, "How could you do this to me?" This is all your fault. You're tearing us apart. I don't answer. I text Heather. She says he was pacing the house the whole time, barely talking to anyone, just mad that nobody showed up but Griffin. Aaliyah says her dad, my uncle, told her it was the weirdest, quietest lunch they've had in years. So now Dad's mad, but he still thinks he can fix it by throwing money around. He starts offering to help with stuff, like suddenly Heather gets a text that he'll pay for her car repairs if she just comes over for dinner. Aaliyah gets a call about helping with the kids' school fees. Both of them say, no thanks. Heather says, I'm not letting him buy his way back in. I tell her, you don't owe him anything. Griffin is still trying to play both sides, but even he's running out of steam. He calls me, says, you could just say sorry and this would all go away. I say, what exactly am I apologizing for? He says, you know what you did. Just fix it. I hang up. Then Dad starts hitting up the older relatives, my grandma, my Aunt Deborah, telling them he doesn't know what happened, but the kids just turned on him. Deborah calls me, asks if I can explain. I just say, we're not doing family dinners at Dad's anymore. That's all. She seems confused, but doesn't push. Things get even more weird a few days later. Dad shows up at my door unannounced. I open the door. He just stands there, arms crossed, says, you going to let me in or what? I say, you can talk from there. He tries to push past me. I block the door with my arm. He gets pissed. Says, after everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me. I say, after everything you've done to me, this is how I finally stand up for myself. He glares, says, you're going to regret this, and storms off. Slams my gate on the way out. After that, he starts calling like a lot. I start ignoring the calls, but he leaves voicemails, long ones. Sometimes just breathing, sometimes ranting about how I'm selfish and ungrateful. I keep all the voicemails, not 'cause I want to listen, but just in case he tries to twist the story later. I start seeing his number pop up in my missed calls list so many times it's honestly just annoying now. Meanwhile, the rest of the family gets real quiet. Heather keeps her distance, says she's tired of the drama. Aaliyah says, honestly, this is the most peaceful it's been in years. Mom swings by with groceries, says nothing about Dad, just asks if I need help fixing the leaky faucet. I fix it myself. Then one Saturday, I'm at the store and I run into one of Dad's old friends. He asks how things are going. Says he hasn't seen Dad around as much. Asks if everything's okay. I just say, things change. People move on. The guy nods, says, your dad used to talk a big game. Guess it caught up to him. I shrug. I get a group chat invite from a cousin I haven't talked to in months. Turns out Dad tried to start a new family traditions thread, but nobody's joining except Griffin and one uncle who's never around anyway. Everyone else is in the new chat Aaliyah started. And nobody even mentions Dad unless it's about logistics. I'm not even leading it. It just happens. Griffin shows up at my place one night. Mad says Dad's drinking. Says it's my fault. I tell him I'm not responsible for Dad's happiness. He needs to fix his own stuff. Griffin tries to shove me. I push him back. He swings at me and misses. I tell him to get out. He slams the door, wakes up the neighbors. I text Heather, warn her in case he tries the same with her. It's not smooth. Some people think I'm being harsh. Others say it was about time. Nobody's really happy, but at least it's real now. Dad's calls keep coming, but I just let them go to voicemail. Every now and then, Heather texts me, says, I can't believe you actually did it. I just send her a shrug emoji. Last week, Aaliyah hosted a family get-together at her place. Everyone showed up except Dad and Griffin. It was quiet, just board games and pizza. No drama. Mom even laughed for the first time in months. So yeah, Dad's not in control anymore. He's not the center of everything. He can call, yell, threaten, whatever. I'm not answering. I'm not giving him the stage. For the first time, it feels like we actually have a choice about what family looks like. I know he's not done. He's still out there trying, but I'm not worried. Not backing down. There's still fallout, but I'm good with it. I want him to realize he can't just stomp all over people and expect them to keep coming back. Next post, I'll tell you about the voicemail. There's one in particular that finally made me laugh. Not 'cause it was funny, but 'cause it was just so obvious he finally got it. Final update. Alright, so I guess this is the last update. I thought things would just settle into whatever weird new normal we had. But it got even more surreal in the most dad way possible. If you've ever dealt with a guy who's obsessed with being right, you'll get what I'm talking about. It started with the calls. Not like a couple random missed calls here and there. I'm talking actual spam level every day. Sometimes 19 calls in a row. I'm not exaggerating. I counted one day because it was so ridiculous. It's not just regular calls either. He'd try phone, then FaceTime, then leave a voicemail, then text, then another round. Sometimes he'd do this thing where he'd call, hang up before I answer, then call again like I was supposed to chase him. I blocked him on my main, so he started calling from Griffin's phone, then from Mom's phone, even from a weird number that I'm pretty sure was a burner. Heather messaged me one morning with a screenshot. Dad was texting her about me like, "Can you believe your brother won't even pick up? What's his problem?" She just replied, "I'm not in the middle," and muted him. Aaliyah sent me a video of her putting her phone on airplane mode 'cause he tried to call her too, asking if I was okay. She just laughed and said, "He's acting like you joined a cult or something." I started getting these accidental group messages from him where he'd add me, Griffin, and sometimes my Aunt Deborah, then send this huge paragraph about how nobody respects family values anymore. The messages were all over the place. 1 second talking about Christmas dinners. The next about how he built this family from nothing. At one point he sent a photo of the watch I got him just sitting on his kitchen counter and wrote, "Guess this was all you ever thought I was worth." Didn't even reply. I just sent the eyes emoji to Heather. Mom stopped pretending she didn't see what was going on. She came over to drop off some stuff. Didn't bring up Dad at all. Just asked if I wanted leftover lasagna. She said, "You know, you don't have to answer him." I said, "I know." She shrugged, sat down, started scrolling through recipes on her iPad like she was just waiting for the noise to pass. It was weirdly chill. Griffin, on the other hand, tried to get in my face again. He sent this long rant, something like, "Congrats, you broke him. Hope you're happy." When I didn't respond, he showed up at my place, banged on the door, then left after I didn't answer. Heather texted later that Griffin was blaming her for taking my side. She said, "I'm not even on a side. I'm just tired." So, the thing that actually surprised me was how long Dad kept at it. Like weeks. I'd get calls at 8 in the morning, then at 10, then at lunch, then again at like 7 p.m. Sometimes he'd do the rapid-fire thing. Call, hang up, over and over. It got to where I just left my phone on Do Not Disturb most days. Then came the voicemail. I didn't listen right away. I was just tired of the whole circus, but he sent another text that said, "At least you can listen to this." So fine, curiosity wins. I play it while I'm making coffee. It was long, like almost 2 minutes. He starts off normal, just the usual, "I don't know what happened to you. You used to be better than this." Then he gets into how I ruined the family. How he always tried to make a man out of me. How he sacrificed so much and now I'm just throwing it all away. He says, "You think you're punishing me, but you're punishing everyone. You're tearing the whole thing apart for what? To prove a point." Then he just gets quiet for a second and he says, "You know what? You win. You wanted me out. You got it. Hope it was worth it. Hope you feel big now." And then just silence. I hear him breathing. Then he hangs up. I played it twice. Not 'cause I felt bad, just 'cause it was so weird hearing him actually say it out loud. Like he finally got it. Not an apology, not even close, but he knew he lost. Not just the family dinners or the trust or whatever, but the whole thing where he always had to be the boss. I think that's what stung him the most. Not being in charge, not being talked about, not being the one everyone had to orbit around. He didn't call after that, not once. I got a couple more texts, just short ones. "Good luck. Hope you're happy." Then nothing. Heather came over a few days later, brought her kids. Said Dad's not talking to her either now, just to Griffin. Aaliyah said she hadn't heard from him since he tried to get her to host a real family reunion. And she said, "Nope. Mom still drops off food every now and then. Never brings him up. Griffin keeps trying to stir stuff up on Facebook, But nobody bites. Honestly, things are quiet. Not perfect, but nobody's pretending anymore. People just do their own thing. Family group chat is mostly memes. People coordinating who's bringing what for birthdays. No big speeches or drama. Sometimes I wonder if Dad's sitting in his house staring at that watch trying to figure out where it all went sideways. Sometimes I don't think about him at all. I don't feel sorry. I don't want to fix it. Father, I don't care if he ever calls again. He treated me like crap for years because he thought he could. 'Cause that's what his dad did to him, and he thought it made him strong or something. He wanted control, respect, whatever. He lost it. That's all there is. So that's it. No big ending, no reconciliation, not even a dramatic final showdown. Just silence finally. I'm not reaching out, not forgiving, not missing it. He can keep the watch. I'll keep my peace.